Do we have any members of the public who would like to be heard on this issue? Is there anyone, Commissioner, is there anyone out in the foyer? Okay. No questions? Thank you, Mr. D'Arienzo.
No problem.
So would you like to be heard on this? No? Okay. Is there any correspondence?
We have correspondence from a Mr. Robert Ripp. I understand, though, that council is going to say that I make it part of the record. I'd like for council to address the board.
Good morning, Supervisor, members of the town board. I'm just going to respectfully direct that the town clerk not read.
Your name for the record, please.
We don't know each other after all these years. It's Frank Scalera, Chief Deputy Town Attorney, Town of Oyster Bay. I apologize for that. I'm just going to respectfully direct that the town clerk does not read any statement into the record. The statement can obviously be put into the record. It has been a long-standing rule of conduct and decorum here that we don't read full statements for the obvious reason. If you could imagine, if we had 1,000 people send in 20-page statements, we could be reading statements all day. So the statements obviously will be made part of the official record and given to the town board for their consideration. Okay.
Mr. Scalera, do I have the opportunity to hand at least every board member a written statement from Mr. Ripp?
Yes, Mr. Clerk.
Please do that.
And these statements in general from any resident available for any other resident to come into town hall review?
Yeah, of course, yeah. When I mentioned Supervisor Town Board, when it's part of the record, it's part of the official record,
Thank you.
part of the minutes. So you can obviously, like if it was a photograph, a drawing, a statement, it's all part of the record here today.
Thank you. Is there any other questions from Mr. Scalera? Well, thank you for bringing us up to speed on town policy. And while I've only been here 18 months, this has been the town policy for years?
Yeah, it has been. Not only has it been town policy, there's also some authority in the open meetings law that there's no statutory authority to allow a statement to be read in the minutes. So it's a little bit of both.
Thank you. Just give us all a thank you, Mr. Scalera. And before we call for a vote, I'd just like to give the board members a chance to peruse this information. Does anyone else need any other time? Any more time?
No, Supervisor, but I wonder, in light of just having read it, can we get an update on the litigation that it references?
Certainly. Well, that doesn't directly have to do with what we're voting on today. That's fine. Mr. Scalera, would you please return to the podium? and just give us an update. I will point out that this letter, this documentation refers to the lawsuit, but does not provide any specific suggestions from a design standpoint, from an engineering standpoint, or from a construction standpoint. Would you give us an update on what's going on with the litigation as it relates to the garage?
Okay, since we last spoke, we indicated that document discovery was still being exchanged. There is a lot of it. There was a third party brought into the action, as we know, not from us, from one of the defendants. I believe the third party is called Blendex. So they were brought into the action. They're bringing they're asking for a lot of document discovery. So we've got to catch them all up. Understand here, we're talking about, boxes and boxes of many bankers' boxes of documents here that are being exchanged. At the same time, because we're working parallel with the repair of the garage, there are certain things that are going to be done to the garage once a bid is approved for staging of the repair. Obviously, before anything is done to prep that garage to further its repair, the attorneys involved in the case are hiring their own experts presently, going down to the garage, doing their inspections, their photographs, their reviews, to be prepared, because the garage obviously will be a little bit different than it is today once it starts to get fixed. Those things are happening as well, and of course the depositions are all scheduled for the fall, like I mentioned before.
Do we have a demand on the case, Frank?
A monetary demand? Not officially. We didn't. Not officially. I'd rather not go into the monetary demand at this point in time. We could talk about that separately in executive session, because I don't want to, for the lack of a better term, bid against ourselves.
That's fine. From a generic, more generic question, if the amount goes up for the repairs, can we increase our demand?
Yes, the addendum clause or the damage clause of this complaint is left open for all the expenses, including legal fees, that we have to expend to repair this garage. So that's why if I remember correctly, when the complaint was filed last year, I don't think we put an exact number. We just left it open to any and all damages, because it may be continuing and it may increase. So that's right. You did. It's a good point. It may increase. Okay.
So we ask that you check on that, and please
Sure.
report back to the councilwoman. And I believe I'm speaking for the entire board when I say that while we realize that the process you described is very voluminous, we ask that you and those involved in the legal process of this case please move at the fastest rate possible.
Yes, and just so you, I did get emails and phone calls from our outside counsel, and we're scheduled to meet next week at Public Works facility to continue with documents and to make sure we have everything disclosed.
Okay,
All right?
thank you.
You got it.
All right, we've already asked if there is anyone in the public that would like to speak on this. No one has raised their hand or put in a slip, so I will ask now for a motion to vote on this hearing.
Any correspondence?
We went through the correspondence, and for the record, Mr. Ripp's correspondence is for the public hearing and resolution number 482, 2018, which is at today's meeting at 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
So, close and vote on it later when it comes up.
Okay, that's fine.
The supervisor, I'll make a motion that this public hearing be closed and the decision be voted on today.
I'll second. I will call for a roll.
Please.
Supervisor Saladino?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
Councilman McEnroe?
Aye.
Councilwoman Alessia? Councilwoman Johnson?
Aye.
Councilman Umberto?
Aye.
And Councilman Han.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. And would the town clerk now proceed with the regular action calendar?